You're in California right now?
I am. I'm in Los
Okay.
Angeles.
Oh, born and raised, or did you move out there?
I'm originally from Phoenix, Arizona, but I came out
Oh,
here
okay.
to school, and then it's hard to leave once you're here.
Did you go specifically to pursue a music career, or what did you study in school?
Oh, I didn't even know that was something that I could do. And I took classes in the music school because I was so curious about it. I've always like written songs and sang. But I didn't know that that's something that a person could do. And so I took classes in the music school where I signed up for music business classes
Mhm.
so that I could learn how everything works. And I was just
Mhm.
like, oh, you can actually like put music out there. This is something that you
Yeah.
can do on your own.
So I want to take it back from the beginning because you said that you really didn't know that this was a feasible option for you until you were older, right?
Yeah.
Um, what about your family? Like, did you grow up in a musical household? Kind of like how did that spark start?
So my dad has a great voice. I didn't grow up in a musical household, but a lot of people in my extended family are just talented musicians. I grew up, I did musical theater at our local JCC from the time that I was super young. And my dad sang to me a lot, and that kind of started my interest in singing. I sang for as long as I could remember, just because like it was something I did.
Mhm.
Um, but it was always more of an outlet for me. It was like therapy. I didn't think it was something that I could pursue.
Because you started releasing music officially, was it 2021?
It was the end of 2021, and that was actually the third song I had ever recorded.
That's a really hectic time to be releasing music. Like
Yeah.
that's a pandemic, that's what are we doing? What was that like for you?
So the pandemic kind of was the catalyst for why I started making music. I was in college. The pandemic hit my junior year, and I didn't know what I was going to do after I graduated. And so I reached this point where I made a list of things that I know how to do.
Mhm,
I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, but I'm going to figure out what my skills are.
mhm,
And a lot of them were creative. And I didn't ever think I'm going to pursue being a musician, but when I had everything out in front of me, it seemed like something that I should at least entertain. Just
mhm,
because I was like, there's a lot of things I don't know how to do, but
mhm.
I know how to write, I know how to sing. Let me see if I can use that.
Yeah. And you
And
already had that business brain.
yeah, the next day after I wrote that list, one of my childhood friends called me, and he said, "You sing and you write songs, right?" I said, "Yes." I hadn't like recorded a song and like since I was so young. But
Mhm.
I said yes because I was like, I have my list of things I know how to do. He called me at the perfect time. We made a song together. I loved it, and I just didn't stop making music after that.
Oh, that's incredible because your career is very young and you're in this unique position where you can experiment with like the kind of artist that you want to be and the sound that you want. And I'm curious about what that process looks like. Like, do you just walk into the studio like, this is what I want to sound like, let's go? Or is it just a collaboration with the people that you're working with?
So at the beginning, I didn't know what I wanted my sound to be like. I was kind of doing a little bit of everything, and in the last few months, I've landed more on a commercial pop sound just
Mhm.
because with I mean, I like to do everything a little bit differently, so there's some experimentation with it. But in terms of what I wanted my music to be used for, I want it to be something that people are able to listen to together. And that even when time passes, the music will still hold up. I want
Mhm.
to make things that can connect to a wide audience of people and that I will still enjoy over time. So I don't want to get too trendy with it. I like to stick to that timeless pop sound because I want to be able to play it for my future kids. I want to be able to
Mhm.
play it for anyone and to like take the ideas that I have and turn them into something that is accessible.
And I think you do a really good job with that, not only sonically, like with the sounds that you hear, but also lyrically, because it's just so relatable with the stuff that you're talking about. It can be applied to any kinds of relationships, not just like romantic ones either. Um, but I did want to talk a little bit about because with a lot of musicians, where you work is super important as well to the whole creative process. And you've worked a lot at Green Tea Studios in LA. What about it has been so comforting that just makes you like to go back and record every single song that you've put out so far there?
So Green Tea Studios is the first place I ever recorded. When
Mhm,
I knew I wanted to make music, I didn't know how. So I
mhm.
started putting singing videos on the internet and I figured someone's going to correct me and tell me where to go at some point. So Barry, the owner of Green Tea Studios, reached out to me. He introduced me to such a talented recording and mixing engineer. Her name is Osiris. And I recorded my first two songs with her. And the Green Tea Studios community has just been so pivotal for me. They hold events, they hold concerts where you can meet so many creative people. And that has broadened my world an insane amount.
Mhm. It really is about making you comfortable in order to really be able to take what's in your brain and the stuff that you're feeling and put it into music.
Yeah.
And I think, have you ever struggled or are you still finding the balance between kind of what you want to put out into the world and like stuff that you're like, oh, that's too personal. I want to keep that like inside for now.
So don't, I like when I'm pushing it a little.
Mhm.
I like when I play a song for a friend or a family member and they're like, why would you say that? Like,
Mm.
I like that because I think that an important part of music and an important part of writing and being creative in general is going there and being comfortable to like say out loud what people have inside of them. I love when I'm listening to a song and someone can articulate something that I'm feeling, but I don't know how to say it. So I hope that over time my music gets more and more personal because I think that it's helpful for people.
Yeah, because you said that all your songs are really sad, and it's so sneaky sad because at first listen, you're like, okay, these are all songs that I can vibe with while I'm getting ready or singing in the car. And then you actually listen to the lyrics and you get like in love blind. You have what is it? You need to be the one to let me go because there's no situation where I ended on my own, or and you built me up a castle and then you set it in flames and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And you're left going like, whoa, I should really be crying right now.
Yeah,
And that's so
I was crying when
interesting.
I wrote that one.
It's so heartbreaking and you don't realize it in first listen. And it's really interesting. Did you think about that while you were in the recording studio, while it was being produced, like the difference between how it sounds like and what the lyrics actually are conveying?
So that's super intentional.
Hmm.
Um, because I want to be able to listen to my song like whenever I want to without
Hmm.
feeling like I'm exhausted and upset, but I like writing sad songs. I like to, because it's not a big deal to me. I think it's important to like articulate your emotions, even if they're not positive. And so I like to, it's like feeding a kid vegetables by putting them in a brownie. I like to sneak
Exactly.
the emotional content in there, but put it in a vehicle that is fun and that you can
Mhm.
still enjoy with your friends and play in the car and play with your mom without her asking what's wrong.
Like, are you okay? Like, are you sure you're okay?
Yeah.
So, Love Blind is the first track on the EP, but it's also the first song that you released as an artist.
Yeah.
It really sets the tone for the overall EP. Why would you choose that to be track one?
I mean, Love Blind it's the first song. So the EP, even though it's not all one story, I did want it to follow a story and I wanted it to end where it started. So it kind of follows this story about seeing the best in someone. So Love Blind is I'm gonna see the best in this person, and there's nothing that can change my mind. Then you go to Machine, and it's like, why did I do that?
Mhm.
And you get to I Know You Know, which is kind of acceptance. Like I did that. I saw the best in someone, even though it wasn't a good idea. And I'm not gonna pass judgment on that. And then Like I Do is about the same person that I Know You Know is about. And it's just like I wrote it a year later and I had kind of reached a point where I was like, okay, that wasn't the best, but I want to give myself permission to appreciate it too.
Mm.
So it starts at this big emotional like tantrum and it cools off.
No, and I love that because especially because it's so interesting you say that they don't all tell the same stories, and especially they're at least all of them are a year apart, right? Like it's quite
Yeah.
some time between the releases.
Mhm.
Whenever you're recording them or whenever you go back in your songwriting process, whatever it is, do you see that shift between who you were when you wrote the first song to what like now with the release of the EP and the last song Like I Do you see that growth within yourself and within the music?
Yeah, I do. And I feel like as a musician, it's easy to just want to sit around and write songs and make music. But I'm finding that the best way to improve my work is to grow as a person. Um,
Mm,
there's a lot of value to doing your vocal exercises and learning new writing tricks, but just participating in life and gaining
yeah.
perspective, I think is like the secret sauce to improving as an artist.
Yeah, because you wouldn't be able to write Like I Do unless you went through I Know You Know. Like that's like the
Yeah.
whole kind of full circle of the EP in general. And you're in such a unique position where you've been writing and releasing these songs since 2021. And then now, 2023, you're able to put them all together. How was
Mhm.
it like having to revisit these old songs and be like, I'm not the same person I was, but it's really cool to be able to form this story with the music that I've been putting out?
I love songs that I wrote when I wasn't as mature. And I like to
Mm,
hold on to some of that too, because like it is good to gain perspective and to grow up and whatever. But at the same time, the purpose of music is to give people something to understand their life with. So it doesn't always have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be mature. It doesn't have to be reasonable. And so the songs still hold up for me because I still have those emotions in me and
mhm.
I still understand them.
And I think there's something sort of beautiful about being able to be immature with the music because that's the whole point. Like you want to be able to put these feelings in and then be able to let it go. Like have you been feeling like that? Like all of these emotions, especially like Machine. Like Machine is like an angry song. It's
Yeah.
like you've turned me into a person that like I need to be, I need proof, like you say that over and over like I can't just blindly believe in you anymore.
Yeah.
Like are you able to put those emotions is that part of you, like, put in the emotions and then, "Okay, I let it go, I can breathe." It's kind of like a cathartic process for you?
I have this weird thing where I truly believe that if I'm stuck on something and I write a song about it and I record it and release it, I won't be bothered by it anymore.
Mm,
Like if something is really sitting on me and I can't stop thinking about it and I can't stop talking about it, the second I have it out as a song, I can't talk and think about it anymore because it's already out there.
yeah.
There's only so much talking and thinking that I can do. If I have a song that's out there, people are listening to me talk about it for 3 minutes every time they the song. Like,
Exactly. And then it doesn't bring up anything else, like, do you ever get to a song, like, for instance, like, if you were writing Like I Do, and you're like, "Okay, this is kind of like a chapter that I closed. Now I'm gonna take everything that I learned from that and then build it into something new?" Or are you just kind of like, "Okay, like, if there's still something pulling at me, then maybe I can turn it into maybe another perspective over the story," or how do you kind of go through that?
I don't really I write a lot,
Mhm,
and I don't give myself rules, and
mhm,
I don't tell myself what I can and can't write about or why I just write because I don't think about the fact that I might record it. I don't think about the
mhm.
fact that I might release it because that I don't know, that just doesn't work for me. And so I when I decide to record a song that I've written, it's because I think that it is catchy and I think it's honest and I think it is giving a perspective that's interesting or unique, but I write about everything. I mean, I could write about the fact that I got annoyed waiting in the pharmacy line.
Mhm.
Usually that wouldn't be the one to like make the studio
Yeah,
because it's not interesting.
but
But
it feeds your creativity, right?
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Like I have some songs that I've written that are nonsensical and will never see the light of day. But it's just like that's the process for me.
Mhm. I think that's so important too because I feel like you can get lost in a checklist of things, especially in the beginning. You said you're kind of making more commercial pop songs,
Mhm.
but it's not like it's something that's coming through with your lyrics, the relatability of your lyrics. And it's such a unique sound because a lot of the stuff that you are putting out is super melodic, like it's super hypnotizing. With
Thank
I Know You Know, I think that is like it's about a toxic relationship and how bad that is. And like you're finally
you.
kind of just being like, okay, realizing that, waking up. But I think the production side of it, it's one of your most hypnotic songs. And I'm
Yeah.
kind of interested to hear about the production on that. Like, how did you go in thinking the song was gonna go out? Because it could have gone super acoustic, super ballad, but it came up
Mhm.
really upbeat and kind of like you're in a trance while you
Yeah.
listen to it.
So the producer of that song also produced Love Blind and Machine.
Mhm.
His name is Kevin, and he goes by the producer name Wonderless Beats. And I had that track. I had the entire track. He sent me a bunch of tracks. I had it in my files app. And I was going for a walk one day and I was just ranting in my head. This is how a lot of the songs I write start.
Love that.
And I wrote down, you didn't fool me. I think I fooled myself. Think I had you mistaken for somebody else. I had the rhythm in my head. And I just like kept building on it. And then I was going through just like my files to see like if I got any ideas, if anything sparked my interest. And then I played that track and I got the melody for the hook in my head. I wanted it to sound kind of fairy tale-ish.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
thought in the original recording, I recorded it on my phone. It was very like ominous. Um,
Mm.
because the harmonies were super loud. I wanted it to be a little creepy. It didn't end up that way, but that was the original vision. I wanted it to be like the lyrics and the vibe of the song were really clashing.
Hmm.
I wanted it to be like a fairy tale sounding song with very not fairy tale lyrics.
Like a rude awakening kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mhm. It was and they did a really good job at that. I think it's so interesting the way that I mean, all of these tracks are produced because they all have their own unique sound and like their own unique trademarks. And it's so interesting because it's been produced by the same people, right?
Yeah.
Do
Well,
you
the fourth track was produced by his name's Cooper Shot, and he
Mhm.
lives here, and he's an excellent producer.
Mhm. Do you think it's helped you a lot working with producers that you can gain the trust and you can gain like you're able to be more experimental with your sound?
Yeah, I just love working with people in general.
Mhm.
I think it's really easy as an artist to isolate yourself. Um,
Yeah.
I think that working with other people is so key, even just to bounce ideas off of them and to see what impacts another person. Um, but also, I feel like when you work with someone, you enter each other's creative worlds. Um, and then you step out of it almost with like pieces of it that you liked. And
Mhm,
so when I work with people now and in the future, I feel like they're working with me and everyone I've worked with before.
mhm. You kind of take pieces of people that you've had in your past and kind of that becomes who you are as an artist.
Yeah.
Who have you I'm curious because you are especially with, like, your look and, like, the look of the EP and the look of every single release, it's so different, but there's something that, like, kinda blends it all together. When you were thinking about starting, whenever you were like, "Alright, I made my list, I know that I could start releasing music, let me just try." Was there anybody, like an artist or a musician, like, whoever it is, whose career you've been inspired by?
There's so many.
Mhm.
Um, I think, I mean, when I first started and I had my list, I didn't know who I was as an artist, but some artists that have really inspired me over the years, I would say Ariana Grande, definitely.
Mhm.
I've followed her since I was very young, and I have just been so inspired by her, and her voice is
Mhm.
crazy.
Ye
Um,
ridiculous, yeah, incredible singer.
Lana Del Rey, I
Mhm.
listened to her growing up and I just loved her lyricism. I loved how unique and tangible her artistry was. It's like
Mhm.
something that you can like taste it and touch it and smell it. Like it's so visual and it has its own world.
I can
Um,
hear the Lana influence in your songs and, like, what you're doing for
I don't know, like the music I listen to doesn't necessarily tie in with, like, I love Janae Aiko. She's one of my influences. I love
Mhm.
ABBA, the band. Um,
Mhm.
like just like classic pop. I love Tyler the Creator. I think his creative world has also impacted mine a little, just how colorful it is and
Mhm.
how he'll say things that like are so mundane sometimes, but mean a lot. I love that. I love being able to step into an artist's world, and I am really excited to continue building on mine. And I would love this year to work with directors on music videos and to just see what I can get involved in. I am interested. I was beta testing this app called I Adore You World. It's an avatar builder. And I that's something that creatively really inspires me, just like the whole world of like having a persona online, building an avatar. And I grew up like in virtual worlds. And so I would love to incorporate that into my creativity a bit.
That's
Um,
really cool. I feel like nobody's doing that right now.
Yeah, and I think it will happen over time, but that's just something that's creatively inspired me so much. Like I kind of formed an identity as an artist from being online in virtual worlds and like
Mhm.
experimenting with different types of art and different types of ideas. I'm like getting off topic here, but there's so
No, I
much
love it. Yeah.
I want to bring into my creative world, and I'm excited to do that.
And I think this is the perfect timing too, because you're people are starting to listen. People are starting to come along for the ride. And it sounds like you've built a really good network for yourself in terms of these are people that have been working with me that I really genuinely trust. And I think that's so important moving forward because like you said, you are good if you're working with a new person, they're working with every single person that's worked with you. And these people are going to be a part of that world that you are building for yourself. And I think that's super, super important. Um, but with Like I Do, you said that that was like your song of the summer. Like that said that that was your full circle escape, the end of the EP. Super important song because that's kind of what people are left with the taste in their mouth. But I thought it was really cute that you said that it was also your mom's favorite song that you've written, right?
You did your research. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Why do you think that's her favorite song so far?
Because every time I tell her I'm going in to record, she says, "Is it going to be another sad love song?"
Oh. She was just
And
so excited for a switch up.
yeah, it's also about a relationship that like I turn to her for support with a lot. And so I think that she also likes it in the sense that she knows what every line means. Not every line,
Mhm.
but she was there. And I think that's fun for her.
She's been through it. She was like, "I'm so glad it's over." Like, "I'm glad that we're moving on from this." That's incredible. Why did you think that you wanted to end it on that note?
Um, well, I was kind of sneaky with it because the song does end with the words "Give me one more time," which is
Mhm.
exactly where the EP started.
Yeah.
But I wanted to end it on that note because I want to be careful not to pigeonhole myself into making sad girl music. I'm really
Mm.
not a super sad person, but I know that there's a market for sad music. And I love making sad music. I think it's so much fun, but I want to be able to not just do that. And so
Mhm.
it was important to me when someone listened to the whole EP for that to be fresh in their mind when they finished listening to it.
Yeah. I think that's super interesting what you say about how you like writing sad songs. Do you think in part it may be due to, at least in my opinion, a lot of times whenever I listen to sad songs, there's more of like a lyrical, like it's more artistic lyrically. Like you can add a lot of like metaphors or a lot of things that like you wouldn't necessarily think about. Like even with Like I Do, there's a lot of lines in there that like maybe I wouldn't know what they mean, like, you have, like, that fresh memory with it, but I'm like, "That's relatable." Like, I can see that in my brain, and it's like, do you think maybe that's why it might be maybe is it more fun writing sad songs because you can use that kind of part of your brain to be like, "I can be more artistic with it?" What do you think that is?
I know what it is. When I walk around, when I talk to people, I'm always smiling and I'm not always happy. I think
Mhm.
it's in the world that we live in. There's not, especially as you get older, no one wants to hear you complain. There's
Mm.
not a lot of space to just be fully emotional. And also, I think a lot of people are scared to show their emotions.
Mhm.
And so for me, I think it's really fun to write sad songs because I can experience negative emotions and I can express them, and it doesn't have to be this big, scary thing. I like having that
Yes.
relationship with my negative emotions.
Mhm. And it's kind of normalizing that, like, hey, this is real. Like, this stuff happens. Like, this has happened to me. Like, let's find a space where we can relate to it and we can relate to it together as we're going through it as
Yeah.
well. And I think you do a really good job at picking the most mundane stuff, like, that you wouldn't really think would be like this big thing. But, like, no, it's like the little things that whenever it ends, you're like, wow, I really missed that, or like that may like or maybe, hey, like that was actually really bad and I didn't realize it until after the fact whenever it was over. I just
Mhm.
think your songwriting process is so interesting. I think it's incredible how you built this relationship with like your music and you're not afraid to express your emotions in your track, but you're also not afraid to be like, this is real, like, be brutally honest with your lyrics, and I
Yeah.
think that's what makes, especially a songwriter, super special, and the way that you can do that with your debut EP is crazy, like, that's not a lot of people are doing it like that, and I think it's so special, and with that note, what do you think is gonna come next? Like, more sad girl pop, more happy, like, what are you feeling?
I hope the next release is a little happier. Knowing me, it probably won't be,
I
but
love
it's
that, though, I love
something
that.
for. I want to release an album next. I don't
Mhm.
obviously whatever happens happens. I don't really decide what I'm gonna do with my music until I've recorded it already and I've had it for a while and I've decided like what would be the best way to deliver this.
Mhm.
But I am starting to perform live. I have my first show next week.
Yay,
Thank you
congratulations.
so much. I'm terrified and excited, but I think it'll go well.
It's gonna
Um,
go great. How are you preparing for that?
well, I am just I'm using the first show as like a barometer to see where I
Mm.
am. I'm just looking forward to it. I don't know. I like to entertain people. So as long as like my voice is fine, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, it will be good. I'm sending you all the good vibes. That's
Thank
so
you.
incredible.
I think that'll also be super helpful in terms of deciding what I want to do with my music next, because I think that
Mm.
performing live will give me a better sense of what I want my next project to sound like. Because I want to have fun performing it. And so it'll
Yeah.
be interesting to see how it changes my music to make music that I'd want to perform.
Yes, because ultimately that's the goal, right? Release
Yeah.
music, perform it for people, be able to kind of, like you said, build this space where you can connect with your audience.
Yeah.
That's gonna be really cool to see how that goes and like to see what the next projects are. Yeah. I feel so honored that we were able to talk, especially like right at the cusp of, you just released your debut EP, your things are starting to like roll and you're really coming into your own as an artist. Um, Not to make you pick a favorite, but out of all the songs on the EP, what was your most fun song to like write and record?
Machine. I
Mm,
recorded it with my friends. I wrote it. I thought I was being so funny when I wrote it. Like a lot of the lines in there, I was entertaining myself. It's a
uh-huh.
very emotional song, but a lot of the lines are jokes that I had told my friends.
Mhm.
Like I'm analyzing your playlist. I did stalk my ex on Spotify a few times. I thought it was worth mentioning in the song, but it was the most fun song for me to record because I did it with friends. There were a lot of lines in it that thoroughly entertained me, and I
Mhm.
liked the concept of it. I thought it was fun, especially moving forward, where I want to like incorporate more technological elements into my
Yeah.
and like use virtual worlds and like metaverse type of spaces to like promote and add to my creative world. I thought it was fun to like bring in that theme in my first project. I just also wanted to say like I am so honored that like you listened to, I mean, this was a fantastic interview and like
Thank
I
you.
appreciate all the effort and attention that you paid to the project. And I am really excited to keep up with your magazine.
I am such a big fan of you, and I just love like connecting with artists, and I love listening to new projects. And it's been an incredible journey being able to talk to you, but also deep dive into every single lyric and into every single song and really analyze it because it's just incredible. And I'm so happy that we were able to do this, and I'm so excited to see what you do next. And I'm definitely going to keep a lookout to see about that live performance as well to see how that goes. I'm really excited for you.
Thank you so much.
Of course. I hope you have a really good rest of your day, and we'll definitely talk soon. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. This was
You
awesome.
too.